You guys remember back a few years ago, right before The Force Awakens, Star Wars was coming out, and J.J. Abrams had an interview and he said, "Look, I'm going to be honest, there's no way that we can please new fans as well as please the old fans." That was hilarious, wasn't it? Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. I think this is going to be the last one of 2020. It's been quite a year, hasn't it? Lots of good to go along with lots of some of those crazy things. I'm sure we've all kind of went through in a year that will definitely go down in history as one of the weirdest that I can think of. But I don't know. You always want to think that when it's the time that you're living in. But 100 years from now, people might be like, who cares? It wasn't really that big a deal because you don't know what happens in 2043. But I don't want to get there, right, guys? Let's do what we always do, guys. Let's talk about what I've been reading this week. I am still working on Kings of Paradise. The holidays obviously have kind of slowed that down, but that was the plan. That was the plan to kind of run up to the new year here. They're about halfway at this point. Book kind of was really good. It kind of slowed down. It focused on the third POV character, which isn't really like super clicking for me. And there was one stretch where it felt like it was like 100 pages of that character. And it really kind of slowed me down. But I don't see having a problem getting through the rest of that over the course of the next week. But really, that's the only thing I've got on the schedule for the rest of 2020 here. And that leads us into, what am I going to read? Now, if you're a complete stranger to the channel, I don't know why this would be the first time you found the channel. But obviously, you know what happens on January the 1st. It is finally time, guys. We are almost there within a week. You know what? There's a lot of people in the Discord that are already started. I just went ahead and looked at the prologue and I read like 4 chapters. Stop it. Stop it. I want to have people to talk to. Go watch a movie or something, guys. Quit starting early. I went from intimidated to nervous excitement to now just like eager. I can't wait to get started because it's been a long time coming, guys. I can't wait to get going. Can't wait to talk to people. There are so many people, like on the Discord, we have a section called book hauls where everybody, just takes pictures of the new books that they got. And everybody was doing their Christmas haul. Merry Christmas, by the way. I hope everybody had a safe and Merry Christmas if you celebrate, or Happy Holidays, whatever it is you do. Everybody was posting their book hauls from Christmas. And I would say about every 3 or 4 pictures, someone was posting a picture of Gardens of the Moon. So guys, this read along is going to be so big. I wish I could get you a head count. I really can't because there's so many people who are going to be a part of it and aren't even saying anything. But I've got people being like, yeah, I told like 3 of my friends, and they told like 4 of their friends, and it just seems like a big homecoming for people who have wanted to read this series. So very exciting times are on the horizon for this channel. And let's go ahead and talk about this week on the channel. It was a very busy week, for being a Christmas week and all. I did get out 6 videos. Yes, 6 since the last weekly update. One of them was kind of an unexpected last-minute thing. That's why I had a video on Christmas. But the first, obviously, was the interview I did with Christopher Rocchio. That is the author of the Sun Eater series that I really just go on and on about because I think it was really well written, and I think that more people need to check it out, and I'm excited to continue it in February. But that interview was really good. I've heard from people that haven't read his books, and before they watched it, they didn't have really an interest in reading his books, but they were interested in the writing process. And some of the things that he talks about in there about, how he got published, how he approaches writing certain things, how he handles influence and stuff. It just sounded like a really good conversation. And you know what? It was a really fun conversation for me to have because it really just felt like you were catching up with a friend over a cup of coffee or over a beer at the bar or something. You're just talking about books. I mean, we talked about books. We talked about Black Sabbath. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about Dune. It was just a good, fun conversation. Like I said, we talked about 2 hours. The interview is actually about an hour and a half, but I think we talked about 2+ hours, before, a little bit before and a lot after the interview because it's just a really cool guy to talk to. So check it out if you're interested in just good old book conversation. I got a lot of good sci-fi recommendations that I've added to my list after I had that talk with him. I did 2 reviews. I did a review for The Martian by Andy Weir, something that I've told you guys on these weekly updates before was something I was very thrilled with. So I was excited to do that review. Also talk about my personal love for NASA. I do live in Houston where NASA's based, so I've been there quite frequently over the years. Did the review for The Talisman. The Talisman by Stephen King. And I think it kind of proved those people wrong who were like, oh, you'll never have like a negative review on a Stephen King. But I won't say I really had a negative. It's just just say it was kind of disappointing. It's just a book that I feel like it was a building block for things that he would do later, that he did better later. It really seemed like it was setting the groundwork for what it and the Dark Tower would become. So if for anything, I want to tip my hat to it for that. But as a standalone book, wasn't quite what I was looking for. Really, really bloated. But again, I know a lot of people love it, so I'm not really just going to like trash it. I mean, it's still king. It's just I would have rather seen him do that story on his own, not with Peter Straub, and see if maybe I would have felt differently about it, because I felt like it really took a lot of his strengths away. So watch that review if you want. For anything, check out the thumbnail I made for it, because yes, it has Twinner Mike on it, which is my hipster dark side who only drinks IPA and hand brewed coffee that he makes himself. I thought that was the comment that I got on Instagram. I also finally ranked the Dresden Files. I've had people ask me to do that for a while. I'm not really into the whole tier list thing, but I like to give the people what they want. So I did the whole tier list deal. It was spoilers. I know I did a Wheel of Time one. I didn't do spoilers, but with Dresden Files, I felt like I needed to do spoilers. There was so many. I wanted to justify why I was putting some of the books where I was. Wheel of Time, I felt like I could do that in a non-spoiler way. Dresden Files, I just didn't feel like I could, so that's why I made that decision. So sorry if you haven't read it and you wanted to watch that. Here's the deal: read them, and then watch it, because I'd love to hear what you think about it. But it's a great series, guys. Obviously, I wouldn't have done a ranking like that if I didn't really, really love the series. My next big request has been, are you going to do the Cosmere? I'm going to take a break from the Cosmere for a while. I really overdid it with the Cosmere this year, so let me think about it. I mean, Dresden Files, I finished Battleground, back in September, and it took me 2 months to do this. So, hey, sometime early next year, maybe I'll decide to do that with the Cosmere. Let Rhythm of War fully sink in. Then I went ahead and decided it was time to start rolling out some of that good old end of the year content. Best and worst, things like that. But look, here's the thing, guys. I don't usually do like a worst books or disappointing books or anything like that, because I don't know. I like to focus on the positive, and I feel like people only take stuff like that in a negative way. Until I saw this gentleman, Gavin, a booktuber, who put out a video about what he thought were the worst books of the year. And I saw one particular author being really nasty with him. And people have asked me, what author is it? Look, I'm not putting the names out there. If you want to do the research, you can do it yourself. I don't want to be responsible for someone getting shit bombed on Twitter because I said I didn't like something they did. I'm not that guy. Here's what it was. Her and several other authors kind of jumped on board and started saying, hey, you shouldn't even make lists like this. And I'm like, at what point did we get above criticism? We're not allowed to have criticism. I watched the video. I didn't think it was nasty. He has his own style of humor, and I admire that. But I don't think that he was ever nasty about it. And I was like, you just accept some criticism. It's really not that bad. But the biggest thing to me was like, I feel like it was time for me to pick up the sword and defend booktubers. Because there is one thing that I'll say about booktubers is a lot of them are introverts. And it takes a lot for them to get in front of a camera and put themselves out there like that. I don't have this problem. I have no problems talking to people. But I know a lot of smaller channels, not saying Gavin, he's a big channel. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying a lot of the smaller booktubers that are just trying to get into this. And then they have something like that happen, and authors and their minions kind of jump on them. You know what? They quit. They just leave because they don't want that kind of attention. So yeah, I felt like I need to make a video to say, hey, you know what? You told us we can't make a list like this. Hey, here's 5 of my most disappointing books from last year, but I felt like I did it in a respectful way, which I think it can. Criticism doesn't have to be disrespectful, and I don't think it is. So saying that you shouldn't even make a list like that because it's not fair to an author. Booktubers don't do this for authors, guys. We do it for readers. So stop telling us what we can and can't do. There. That's it. So yes, I did my most disappointing books of the year. Then I also did my new series and authors I want to try in 2021. And that got a lot of good conversation. Several people being like, no, don't read that series because it sucks. A lot of people saying, I can't believe you're not going to read this series. I mean, look, guys, like I keep saying, I can't clone myself. These are the ones that I decided to do. So there is some tough cuts I had to make. And maybe I'll do that video later about some tough cuts I had to make. I wanted to up the science fiction next year. So yes, some very popular fantasy series that people want me to read have kind of had to take the back seat. Look, next year is the year of Malazan. That takes priority. So most of my fantasy stuff really got tricked down and my sci-fi stuff got bumped way up. So it's going to be an even slate going forward. It's something that I'd like to do for the channel because I don't want to just be another fantasy booktuber. I'd like to be science fiction, fantasy, and horror Like my title card says, I'd like to be these things. So that's why I decided to do that. But that's a fun video. Anytime we talk about some stuff you're going to do in the next year, it's always a lot of fun, creates a lot of good conversation. And I think most people are like, hey, you know what? I've wanted to read that, so I'm going to read that, when you decide to. So obviously Malazan is the big official channel read along. But I always encourage other people, hey, this is when I post my schedule on the Discord, and people say, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and like read it while you do, just so I'll know, because you're doing your weekly updates when you do your review and stuff. I'll feel like it's fresh. So you're welcome to do that, guys. We actually have a channel read along section on the Discord, and like we're organizing a really big Wheel of Time one right now on the Discord. So just because I'm not leading a read along doesn't mean that there isn't big read alongs going on. So if you're looking for buddy reads and stuff, we have that in the Discord. You can join right there, guys. It's really worth it. The description and the link is down below. I think as far as next week plans go, I'm going to continue, or actually conclude all my end of the year content. That's going to be my top 10 books of 2020. Obviously, that's always going to be a big point of conversation. I'm going to do my most anticipated books of 2021. That's one that I had to think about for a bit, because I started thinking about it. I was like, is there a lot coming out next year I want to read? And I thought of 5 really, really big ones that I'd really like to talk about, and why I think that those will definitely be the ones that I'm most looking forward to next year. And I'll also be doing my year-end live stream. This is a thing that I don't like to do a live stream every time you hit like another 5,000 subs or anything like that. I did make that optimistic goal of like last month. I said, hey, you guys always tell me that I'm a pessimist about this, so I'm going to make an optimistic goal of trying to hit 35,000 subs by the end of the year. Unless something crazy happens, it's going to happen. We're going to get there. So I want to not just have a celebration for that, but obviously a celebration for the whole year of 2020, where my goal at the end of the year was 7,500 subs. I'm going to end up with 35,000. So obviously it is something, you hit a goal like that, you definitely want to talk about it. And I love talking to you guys. The whole thing with the live streams is I always say, ask me whatever you want. It doesn't have to be book related. Whatever you want to talk about, we will do it. And as long as you guys are there and ask me questions, I'll keep going. Last one we did, 3 hours, because you guys kept talking to me. So I'm the Energizer Bunny when it comes to live streams. So as long as you guys are asking questions, I'm going to stick around. So hit me there. I'll get the official timeout sometime later this week. I'll announce it on the community board. It'll probably be sometime early afternoon. I'll also probably do some kind of closing down 2020 video. I'll do that on a New Year's Eve. Kind of just a nice way to end the year. And then think about doing something for the official Malazan launch. I don't know what. I've already kind of thought about doing like a little dramatic read, maybe of not the prologue, but there's like a precursor to the prologue or something like that. You'll see. I've got something put together for it. But I kind of just a thing to kind of, fire that gun in the air and say, start your engines, guys. The read along has begun, even though, like I said, a lot of you are starting early. I'm very disappointed. Let's talk about some TV stuff, guys. Now, I've got to talk about the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. Here's the deal with that. I am going to place timestamps on this video, and I'm going to place a spoiler thing here in case you're one of the few people who haven't heard about this at this point. So if you don't want to know about anything that happened in The Mandalorian Season 2, specifically the finale, drop into the timestamp and jump to the next section or the next part. I'll put that up. Just spoiler alert, just for this part. But here's what I got to say about the Season 2 finale. I continue to say that I don't think that The Mandalorian is as great as everybody says it is, but I also don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is. It seems like people are one way or the other. Either it's just the best Star Wars since the original trilogy, or it's just the worst thing since the prequels. It's always something. And I know that Star Wars fans can be very opinionated. I'm very opinionated on Star Wars. I don't like the direction that Disney's taken them. I do like what they've done with The Mandalorian. I felt like it's the perfect amount of fan service that they needed to do after they upset so many people with the sequel trilogy. Yes, it is very fan service heavy. Yes, it does play with the nostalgia feelings. But yes, it does have a heart and creativity of its own. I mean, you think about, it seemed like what I talked about in the intro there was that you had J.J. Abrams say there's no way you could please the old fans as well as please the new fans. The new fans for this episode were absolutely in tears over Grogu and Mando saying goodbye to each other. They were in tears over that. The classic fans were in tears over seeing Luke fucking Skywalker on screen in his prime, wrecking shop like Vader did in Rogue One. We finally got to see this. It was everything that we wanted out of the sequel trilogy, and we did not get. This whole season felt like an apology for the sequel trilogy. And for that, all I've got to say is thank you, Favreau and Filoni. It's all we wanted. All we wanted was to see Luke Skywalker not be an angry old man and still be the ass kicker that we grew up loving. Yes, we didn't want a character deconstruction of Luke Skywalker. If that worked for you, awesome. Most classic trilogy fans, we did not want that. We did not want to see our hero being a wasted, broken version of himself. We didn't want to see that anymore. So this definitely felt like a way of saying, you know what? We're sorry about that. Here, have this nice little thing. And the thing about the Luke Skywalker appearance is, yes, the whole deep fake thing, it can look weird or whatever. Look, he could have never even taken his hood off and I'd have been satisfied. Okay? And here's the deal. When I thought about this, I was sitting there thinking, my wife, and she was saying, like, well, who could this Jedi be that they contacted? And I'm like, well, you know, they've canceled out all those, you know, 66, I think, EU novels over there that I've read in my life. And I said, if they're going off of that, there's about 5 Jedis, I think, that are alive at this time after Order 66 that it could actually be. And she's like, well, could it be Luke? And I'm like, I don't think they would do that. I don't know if I want them to do that. And that was the thing. I said, I don't know if I want them to do that until it happened. And then I realized this was everything I wanted. So, yes, I was very, very happy with it. Yes, the deep fake stuff does still kind of look weird. I'm not against them recasting or whatever. If he was going to become a regular on like season 3 and 4 and 5 of The Mandalorian, sure, I'd want them to recast Luke. But if it's just this one cameo, and I think it should just be this, or you see him again like, hey, there goes his X-Wing, you know, something like that, sure. But yeah, just for this one appearance, I'm completely happy with what they did. So it's like you found a way to make the old fans happy and make the new fans happy. So sorry, JJ, someone cracked that nut, and it was Favreau and Filoni. So I tip my hat to those gentlemen. Again, it's not a perfect show. It's just fun. It's Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. That's all we wanted. Us older fans, we never expected Disney Star Wars to just be amazing, you know? We just wanted it to feel like Star Wars, and it just hasn't until I feel like this season. So with the Boba Fett stuff, with the Luke Skywalker stuff, with the Ahsoka stuff, it feels like coming home for us. So I loved it. I had a great time with it. And I'm just glad that you know, they were able to make that step in the right direction. I hope they continue it because I'd love to see more stuff like this in this galaxy far, far away. Okay, let's go along here. I think that's something that did do the sequel right. You know, you have the whole thing with like them doing sequels like 20, 25 years later, and it doesn't usually work. Like I think about like Indiana Jones didn't really work. Bill and Ted's debatable if it worked. I felt like it really worked with Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai was something where I felt it had a good enough ground to stand on, and it made a series of showing how you can pass the torch to a new generation and not crap on your legacy characters like Disney did with Star Wars. It really keeps Daniel and Johnny at the forefront while not taking time away from the younger audiences. So again, you're pleasing the old fans and the new fans. I felt like that people who are new to the series have got on board with it. So Cobra Kai moving up a week into January 1st is something I'm obviously very, very excited about. So me and my wife really just love the show. Johnny is the great. We are full on Cobra Kai, Never Die. So we can't wait for season number 3. And it's Netflix, so it's going to be a full drop. So we'll probably binge that on New Year's Day. Cannot wait. Didn't watch Wonder Woman 84 yet. It seems like now that it's actually out, we're getting more reviews. It's very, very mixed. And look, I haven't watched it yet. This is just my opinion as someone who has not watched it. I'm going to watch it with an open mind. But from the stuff that I'm hearing, I wish that they would just reboot this whole version of the DC universe and give it to someone who understands and loves these characters and is not afraid of them, i.e. not being afraid to put Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, in the Justice League because he's a founding goddamn member. Put Green Lantern in the Justice League, okay? So I don't know, man. It seems like everything with this version of the DC universe is just mixed to maybe positive to usually negative. And as a big time DC guy, I mean, I would love to see this done right, and I just don't know that's ever going to happen under the Warner Brothers umbrella. And they're never going to let go of those license because they love how much money they make off of Batman and Superman stickers and T-shirts and memorabilia, you know. So it's never going to happen. But I just wish they understand, guys, you could be printing money if you do this right. And again, I haven't watched the movie, so I'm not trying to just sit here and trash that movie. I'm not satisfied with this DC universe, and I felt like the success of Wonder Woman is the whole reason, the 2017 one is the whole reason they won't reboot this whole Snyderverse or whatever. And I don't get mad. I'll watch the Snyder Cut when it comes out, but I'm not like counting down the days to it. Something I did do that might actually get some raised eyebrows. My mom actually even like called me. She was concerned about it. Decided to let my 8-year-old son watch Die Hard for Christmas. It was something I thought about, and I was like, you know what? I watched it when I was 10 for the first time. I turned out okay. You know what? It's like he sees people get shot in Marvel movies all the time. Take care of him. So what is it? The cussing? I was like, I'm married to a redhead. He hears all that stuff all the time. You know, so it was an executive decision. I decided to do it. My wife was kind of apprehensive about it. But hey, what a shock. He loved it. He even told me, now I have the machine gun. Ho, 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 when he got some Nerf guns for Christmas. So I'm a bad parent, man. That's it. I mean, some people are like, you know what? That doesn't make you a bad parent. That makes you an awesome parent. You're supposed to make your kids watch Die Hard. So that was like our little Christmas treat there. That's really all I got for this week, guys. Gaming, that's, you know, all we got is for my kid. We got him a bunch of Nintendo Switch games. He's been playing Hyrule Warriors 2 for, 12 hours now. So that Phoenix Rising already kind of took a back seat because Hyrule Warriors 2 is what he wanted. He loves him some Zelda. And, but that apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, guys, you have a great Christmas. What did you get? Drop in the comments. Let me know what you're doing, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing. And I will talk to you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend.